Okay, for the last little section on our 1-point perspective notes, I wanted to give you all an opportunity to draw shapes that are a little more complex than just our boxes. Now the boxes are a great way to illustrate how the rules are used in 1-point perspective, but I also want to give you the opportunity to draw a little more complex shapes. So I'm going to start by drawing an organic shape up here in this top right area or top left area of the picture. I'm going to start by drawing the front of a curvilinear shape. Okay, it's just a strange little organic shape, but because it's not parallel, because the lines do not go straight up and down and straight across, you might say, well, wait a minute, how can that be parallel to the picture plane? Well, it's parallel to the picture plane because this front surface hits that window that we talked about head on, which means every line that goes back from this form goes to this vanishing point. So let's go ahead and draw this next stage. We're going to take our ruler and we're going to set it on the vanishing point, and then I'm going to take the ruler and I'm going to draw the line from each of the little curves that I see. This is the first one. Okay. This is the second that I see. This is the third. And this is the fourth. Now you'll notice my pencil always goes to the vanishing point so that my ruler can pivot around. Now, I have all of these lines that go back in space to the vanishing point, but now I've got to put the back of the shape on. Now remember, our rule says the back of each form, let me see if we can see this, the back of each form must be parallel to the front of the form. That means if the line curves down and then up, then the back of the form has to curve down and then up. See how that mirrors it? That is parallel. Then you can erase your extra line. If the front of the shape curves over and then down, then the back of the shape curves over and then down, so that they are parallel to one another. I erase my extra guidelines. And last but not least, we have the front that curves across, up, and then down. So this one goes across, up, and then down. And anytime you want to add a little bit of interest to it, you can always add shading to the parts of the form that go back in space. But you will notice all of my shading lines go towards the vanishing point. That helps it look more three-dimensional. Again, all of these lines that I'm shading in go to the vanishing point. Okay? Now, that is an organic shape drawn in 3 dimensions or drawn in 1-point perspective. If we were to do a geometric form, it might look like a little arrow. Maybe it'll have a funny zigzaggy tail. Okay. If this is the front of the shape, then all of the lines going back in space go back to the vanishing point. So again, we start with my ruler, my pencil touching my vanishing point, my ruler picking up this line, picking up this one. It doesn't really pick up this one because it gets blocked, but it does do this one, and this one, and this one. So every line that went back in space went to that vanishing point. So now all I have to do is take my ruler, lay it down on the front of the shape, slide it down, and draw the back of the shape. Lay it down on the front of the shape, slide it down so that it is parallel, and there's the back of the shape. This one is a little more steep angle. Do you see the front of the shape? Slide it down and put the back of it on. Here's the front of the shape. Slide it down and draw the back of the shape. Now, I know what many of you might be saying. Well, Miss Piper, this line looks like what you called a higgledy-piggledy line earlier. Well, keep in mind, this is a more complex shape. So while the front of the arrow is facing the viewer directly, it is made up of angles. So all of the shading that I do, I will draw the lines of the shading to go towards the vanishing point, and that will help my arrow shape look three-dimensional. As long as the back of the shape is parallel to the front of the shape. So just like when we were drawing our boxes, over here we had the front of the box going straight up and down, the back of the box went straight up and down. The front of the box went straight across, so the back of the box went straight across. So these more complex shapes, they have to have the backs parallel to the front. So I hope that that makes sense. And this is going to be where we stop our notes. If you want to do one more shape, I'm going to sneak one more shape in. Why? Because I love cylinders. If you want to draw a cylinder, you can draw a circle. And take your ruler from the vanishing point and draw a line to the top of the cylinder and then the bottom of the cylinder. Cylinders are really cool because you can make them look like tubes. They end up looking really cool. Now, because the front of this tube is curved, the back of the tube must be curved the same way. So here we have a cylinder. We could even do a triangular prism if you wanted to. We'll put a little triangular prism right here. The top of the triangular prism would go back to the vanishing point. The bottom of the triangular prism would go back to the vanishing point. And the back of the prism would be parallel to the front. So you can draw a number of shapes in one-point perspective as long as you follow the rules. The vanishing point must always appear on the horizon line. All of the lines that go back in space go back to the vanishing point. All other lines must be parallel to the picture plane, straight up and down or straight across, unless you're drawing a complex shape, in which case the back of each complex form must be parallel to the front of the form. So if the front of the form curves, the back of the form curves. And with that, we bring our notes to a close. Make sure that you get all of this information copied down onto your page so that you can use it for any test or quiz we might have for this unit. Thank you very much for watching.